Jim Meeham of the Spokesman Review on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Jim, you furthered this conversation with comments from Mike Roth and Mark Few, and here we are questioning whether the tournament will happen. What do you think?
That is a valid question. I think not just for the WCC, but kind of around the country, you've got, conferences trying to figure out if they can stage the tournament safely. You've got teams that are highly ranked and probably shoe-ins for the tournament. Gonzaga, obviously, I think BYU's net is in the 20s now, so I would think they're in great shape. And they're considering the risk reward of do we go play in the tournament and possibly have a COVID situation that derails us for the next week at the NCAAs. Those are tough decisions that a lot of schools and a lot of conferences have to make. And as you guys know, there's so many factors with the conference tournament. There's television, inventory for TV, for ESPN as it relates to the WCC tournament. You've got corporate sponsorships. Are you going to be able to have fans? Or is it going to be limited number of fans? That affects the bottom line for the conference and the schools. If you're operating at a big loss in this tournament on top of the losses you've already incurred because of COVID, from last year to this year, that's another consideration. So a lot of moving parts still to be decided in this debate.
Jim, I think it's interesting. We obviously know Gonzaga's status within this league. How do you think the conference views this? If Gonzaga wants to put its foot down, how can the conference go against what the Zags want because of all of the finances surrounding everything involving Gonzaga basketball?
Well, I'm not sure. And I'm not sure even that Gonzaga is going that direction. I think obviously they've got a special team this year, ranked number one since the start of the year, legitimate chance to make a Final Four and maybe even their first national championship in basketball. So those are conversations I think that are just now heating up. And this is, it's just coming out now, the last few days, last week. But I think, in reality, conferences across the country have had to kick this around for a while. When the NCAA set their dates for, Selection Sunday on March 14th, the first four on March, 18th or so. And then the NCAA tournament starts, those first two rounds, the next 2 days. Some of these conferences, I believe the Pac-12 plays up to Saturday, the day before the Selection Sunday. The ACC is the same way. A couple of them, in the past have finished on Selection Sunday. That doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room when you got to turn around and pass 7 tests before going to Indianapolis. If you have an issue at the conference tournament, that is going to affect, that's going to affect how you open your NCAA tournament with your roster. And if you lose some key guys, that could derail a team that has a chance to win it all right before they even get started. So it's one of those. I'm not sure there's a right answer or a wrong answer, but I think they will have to consider, location, how secure they can make. They can't make an NBA type bubble. I don't think anybody has the money to do that. Maybe outside of the SEC. But I think for the WCC, the best they can do is try to control an environment. And as you guys know, Las Vegas probably isn't the easiest place to do that. So we'll see. I don't know quite what the right answer is. And I think they're still trying to figure out if there's a way to go on this. But it's coming up March 4th, it starts. So they got to make a decision fairly quickly.
Yeah, it's coming up fast. We're talking to Jim Meeham of the Spokesman Review on BYU Sports Nation. Mark Few's comments about, at least a thought about, quote, is it to try to get a third team in or is it to protect the two teams, Gonzaga and BYU, that are already in? If Gonzaga and BYU said, you know what, we're going to opt out because for the benefit of the league, we want about $1.7 million over the next 6 years for the league, given a pandemic, given the financial issues that everyone's struggling with. That would be quite an interesting move. Could you see that as a possibility where the top two teams in the league opt out so that an automatic champion, St. Mary's or somebody else, wins the league and three teams get in?
That would be an interesting scenario if that unfolded that way. I'm not sure their television partners would like to see a tournament without the number one team in the country and a BYU team that's in the top 25-ish in the net. Especially if those two teams, most would expect they'd probably meet in the title game. But that's one of many things. And I think one other question that, nobody quite knows yet, will the selection committee honor the automatic berth of if Gonzaga and BYU don't play, St. Mary's wins it, Pepperdine wins it, whoever, do they honor that as an automatic bid? The way it's traditionally been, if those teams had opted out, unanswered at this point. There's a lot of things. I mean, how are you going to seed the tournament if you have one, the conference tournament? If Gonzaga is 14-0, let's say, and you've got Pacific that's 3-5, or I mean, you've got a different number of games. Do you go by percentages? How do you do this? And I haven't heard anything in that regard either. So a lot of questions still out there. But I think, especially those teams in the top 10 that, are probably one or two seeds, is really a tough decision. I mean, they've got major goals in front of them that they all think they can get to, that final weekend in Indianapolis. And you've already got a lot of question marks with COVID. Do you put yourself in that position? We're going to have to see what these teams decide.
Jim, we obviously know that there's a safety issue. There's the COVID situation that everybody's dealing with. That's obviously playing a large role in this situation and why some of these discussions, whether they're behind closed doors or openly, are taking place. Because of Gonzaga's current status in terms of being the number one team and by a lot of accounts, maybe the best team Gonzaga has ever had, how much of that part of it is pushing this narrative that Gonzaga knows how special of a team it has right now, and they don't want anything to mess this up?
Well, I mean, that's obviously part of it. I mean, this is, we're only, 14, 15 games in, but what they have done to this point, who they've beaten, I think 4 teams in the top 16 or so, how they have won those games, the numbers they're putting up. This is obviously a team that has really done some special things and has their eye on something beyond that the next couple of months. But I think all of college basketball is kind of sitting back and wondering where we're headed here. Not just conference tournaments, but what if you get to the NCAAs and you have an issue there? Let's say between the first and second week, does it shut down a program? Do they pause? I'm not sure they can really change the schedule of the NCAA once it gets going back in Indianapolis. So just so many factors going into this thing. And I know, I think there's one thing most college basketball fans, coaches, administrators can agree on is the importance of having the NCAA tournament. That is really the thing that needs to happen. We all saw what happened when they canceled it a year ago and the financial impact it had. I think the NCAA lost $800 million. They recouped some of that with an insurance payment, but that was a big hit for a lot of athletic departments across the country. And you saw a lot of people lose jobs. You saw a lot of sports get cut. That tournament funds so many things, so many other sports and the championships at the D1, D2, and D3 levels that to have it not happen again would be devastating for I think college sports across the country. So that is the biggest thing, to get an NCAA tournament, to have it play out and, kind of recoups. You're not going to recoup all the losses. You're not going to have fans and those type of things, but that would go a long way into restoring some of the the money, the pipeline of money that that tournament creates to the colleges. And I think, how you get there, that's going to be the issue. Do you have conference tournaments? Do you have smaller conference tournaments? Do you do them on home floors? Do you move a location? All those things that these conferences are going to have to decide in the next week or two.
Certainly questions to be answered. Jim, we appreciate the time. Thanks for the insight, and we look forward to what we think will be BYU and Gonzaga on February 27th.
Yeah, that'll be a great game. And what time does BYU play today? I saw the makeup, but what time are they on?
Play at noon Pacific.
Noon Pacific.
So coming up
Gotta
here
catch
soon.
that.
Yep. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, guys.
That's Jim Meeham of the Spokesman Review.